comes the pit. There it is. A weak shove of that bumper, and really a half-hearted pit attempt there.
Welcome to Viral Twist. A stolen Toyota Camry speeds through red lights, with police struggling to stop the suspect. This driver thought he could outrun the cops, but the unexpected twist came.
West Covina is in pursuit here. They have a failure to yield. Been chasing this guy for about 15 minutes. There are 6 black and whites right on his tail here. He is blowing through stop signs, blowing through red lights, refusing to pull over, and making some really erratic moves. You can see those innocent motorists pulling over at the sound of those sirens, but this driver just continuing to push the pedal to the metal, especially every time that primary unit even shows a hint of attempting a possible pit maneuver, which it does appear has been authorized. We see that primary unit occasionally coming up on the left rear of that vehicle, and just a little bit too fast for an effective pit maneuver. But here he comes again, stepping on it right past La Breda Avenue on Puente Avenue now, slowing down just a little bit for that intersection, but he has been mostly blowing through these red lights at full speed and making some of these wild last-minute turns without any braking whatsoever. Again, he is now westbound on Puente Avenue. Again, this is about 15 minutes old. This guy is just refusing to pull over, and you got to wonder whether that is his vehicle or whether it's a stolen vehicle or what else may be behind those tinted windows. Here comes another wild left turn, right over the double yellow lines and oncoming lanes of traffic now on Hollenbeck Avenue. Yeah, he wants it. He wants it. They're continuing northbound San Bernardino Road now in Baldwin Hills. Here comes another left turn, another wild left turn. That's going to be Orange Avenue, a westbound turn, or a left turn rather, onto Orange Avenue. West Covina really going for that pit maneuver, but they just haven't had the right opportunity to execute. That primary unit wants it. He keeps pulling up right behind him, but just has not had the chance to safely pull this or spin this vehicle out. So they're continuing now in a much more narrow residential street here, about 20 miles per hour on Ken Oak Drive, slowing down dramatically, only about 20 miles per hour, well within the threshold for a pit maneuver. But you see all of this property, all of those parked cars, and in a narrow street like this, you just aren't going to see a pit maneuver unless the opportunity provides it, and unless there's enough space to effectively conduct that pit maneuver without hurting anybody or damaging innocent property here. So another left turn here, and here comes the pit. Here it comes. Here it comes. He's going to go for it if he comes up on another intersection. Another intersection might allow him to do it. Here it is on the right side. He keeps pulling back. He's gotten so close, so many close calls for a pit maneuver here. Here he is on the right side now on Badillo Street, picking up a little steam, and I think he might have missed a good opportunity there. Still only doing about 35 miles per hour through another red light. And now you see that primary unit starting to fall back just a little bit, but he's looking for that opportunity. He's had a couple of chances, but he didn't take it. He didn't feel comfortable taking it for probably great reasons, but from up here, it just looks like he's had so many close calls. But you saw in those narrow streets, so many parked vehicles, and you just have to have the right amount of space to do it. And unfortunately, they just haven't had the right amount of pavement to play with here. But we're now on Ramona Boulevard, another wild left here at a high speed. West Covina looking for that pit opportunity. And word coming into our assignment desk now, this is a grand theft auto suspect, what appears to be a stolen vehicle, a stolen Toyota Camry out of West Covina. You can see they are continuing to keep the pressure on him here as he makes another random turn there onto Azusa Canyon Road. Again, we're in Baldwin Park, adjacent to West Covina. He's done a few loops around the area, but not really predictable enough to set up for any kind of a spike strip, although that's not out of the question. Right now, they just haven't had the chance, but in the meantime, they have given the go-ahead for a pit maneuver if they have an opportunity. So far, they have not been able to execute, but you can see the traffic is relatively light here, so If he slows down just a little bit, we might see another attempt here on that left side. Here comes that primary unit riding that center line in the median there, maybe looking to come around his left side. The vehicle still doing about 45 miles per hour. It's a little bit fast for a pit maneuver. Unclear how many people are inside this vehicle. As we mentioned, those windows are very heavily tinted, only to say that the driver is wanted for grand theft auto. It appears to be a stolen silver Toyota Camry, newer model, apparently out of West Covina, and they are continuing to apply pressure here, and every time they do, you see them speeding up, upwards of now 55 miles per hour under the freeway. That's the 10 freeway going back in the opposite direction we came from earlier, but generally covering the same territory, which may allow for more units to cover this area and potentially set up for a spike strip. Back in West Covina, turning onto West Covina Parkway now off of Sunset Ave. Here comes another attempt. Here comes the attempt. A pit maneuver, and the officer absolutely chickened out there. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. This is incredible. I mean, he's had several opportunities to go ahead and spin this vehicle out. He may just be looking to take a peek inside the vehicle. Doesn't appear to be a very good attempt at these pit maneuvers. These are just kind of warning shots, I would say, to try and apply a little more pressure. But here comes a hand out the window, the driver gesturing and waving at that officer. Another turn here, and we'll see what this, look, there comes the pit, there it is. A weak shove of that bumper, and really a half-hearted pit attempt there. It's obvious now as he makes his way into oncoming lanes of traffic, another wild right turn onto California Avenue, very obvious that his adrenaline is pumping after that pit attempt, and he is not showing any signs of surrender whatsoever. So really speeding up. I don't even think he's going to give him another chance to pit him here. He's really putting a lot more space between him and that primary unit, and that primary unit, who has still remained the same primary unit throughout this pursuit, has just not managed to have the effect of applying pressure or disabling the vehicle. I mean, he has had several opportunities, he or she, but so far it has had the opposite effect of just antagonizing this driver and really amping up the dangerous driving. I mean, the erratic nature of these turns, and at some of these intersections, speeding right through without any even light braking at some points, just setting up for a real disaster if he encounters cross traffic. Now making his way onto Service Avenue, a right turn onto Service Avenue at 45 miles per hour in a very residential street. He keeps finding these residential areas, slows down occasionally, but I think now that he's feeling that primary officer's pit attempt there, he is just intent on trying to outrun these West Covina officers. It is clearly a full moon here in the San Gabriel Valley, as we have had about 14 separate pursuits throughout the day today in the Southland. This is just the most recent one, and you can see he's now toying with this officer. This is a real game of cat and mouse, gesturing at that officer with his hand out the window. And now the vehicle comes to a stop. Vehicle comes to a stop. The driver with his hands out. Driver with his hands out. Officers with their guns drawn. And this might do it. This might be the end. They're actually partially blocking the driver's side there. We'll see if he is able to crawl out. I don't think he may or may not be able to open that driver's side door, but it looks like he's finally giving up here. The vehicle coming to a complete stop. He's communicating with that officer. Two hands out the window. You see a phone? I don't see the phone. He's holding a phone in his hand. There's a phone in his hand. Difficult to make out. It looks like he's communicating with somebody on the phone as he gestures towards these officers. We'll come around and get a better look at the driver here, but he's gesturing at these officers as he's communicating on the phone. He's almost looks like he's FaceTiming. We can only see the driver. No idea if there's anybody in that back seat or in the passenger seat. It looks like a male suspect. It's a male suspect now with his torso out the driver's side window, very agitated. The door won't open. Door won't open. He's crawling out with his hands up in the air. Hands up in the air. Now walking towards that primary officer. You've got a television crew trying to stay behind that officer. I wouldn't say they're keeping their distance, but they are clearly behind this officer, capturing all of this with a much, really close-up views here. We'll be interested to see the video on the other side here, but right now it looks like they are finally able to detain the suspect with his hands on his head, handcuffs being placed on the driver, and I did not see them clear the vehicle, but they must have.